The DC superhero movies have shown some pretty improbable stuff on screen. However, sometimes the stories behind the scenes of DC movies are just as interesting as what ends up on the big screen. We've all heard stories of prima donnas on the set of films. Big-shot actors that need to have each and every one of their whims met, or else they'll lock themselves in their lavish trailers, leaving the production in a freefall. Well, it turns out the actors that were pampered the most on the set of Batman Returns were the Penguins. Not the Penguin, actual penguins. The production wanted to use king penguins to add some flair to Danny DeVito's dastardly penguin character, but the only tame ones in captivity were held in a bird sanctuary deep in the English countryside. They flew the flightless birds to the US in the refrigerated hold of a plane and housed them in two 40-foot trailers, each temperature-controlled and including a swimming pool, along with another 2,000-gallon pool outside. The perks didn't end there. They even had an around-the-clock bodyguard, who clearly had the best job ever. Despite the temperature topping at 100 degrees in Burbank, California, where the film was shot, the entire set was refrigerated down to 35 degrees, which reportedly brought the AC bill to about $1 million. The majestic beasts must have enjoyed their trip to Hollywood, as it's reported that most of them made it and produced eggs. Filming big action flicks is no easy feat. Stunt teams pull off some death-defying acts, where one wrong move could mean somebody gets seriously hurt. Communication is key to keeping everyone safe while pulling off sweet stunts, but intentionally bad communication nearly caused disaster on the set of Superman Returns. The crew used walkie-talkies to communicate with each other, but one day, a couple of pranksters snuck onto the set and stole several of them. Once the film got up and going, the pranksters listened in, picking up on all of the film lingo. They finally struck on one night of filming, shouting "cut" and "action" through the walkies. One source claimed this happened during a scene where a car jumped down steps and landed between extras. Whether it was that scene or a more pedestrian one, it's lucky that no one caught a car to the face with such mixed signals flying around the airwaves. It wouldn't have been hard for someone to get seriously hurt. We all know the late Heath Ledger was a great actor, but did you know that he had directorial chops too? He directed a few music videos in the past and was planning on directing a documentary as well as a feature film before his untimely death. That said, you've already seen some of his finest work without even realizing it. Remember that terrifying scene in The Dark Knight where the Joker records himself torturing the Batman imposter?
Look at me! You see, this is how crazy Batman's made Gotham.
According to BuzzFeed, Ledger directed the homemade video himself under Christopher Nolan's supervision. Ledger also directed the next twisted home video from the Joker, where he forces a reporter to read a threatening statement to all of Gotham.
Come nightfall, the city is mine, and anyone left here plays by my rules.
With all the Batman movies over the years, there have been several different takes on the famous Batsuit. One thing seems to be universally true. They're all insanely uncomfortable. Clooney shared one particular anecdote on Inside the Actor's Studio.
You're laying on a board like this, you know, and they just prop you up and you're like, I'm Batman.
This seems to be a running theme with the Batman of the big screen. When Ben Affleck donned the mantle for Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice, he went to both Clooney and his predecessor Christian Bale for advice on the role. Clooney gave him some advice which is apparently not repeatable, while Bale had some extremely practical advice. On The Graham Norton Show, Affleck revealed just exactly what that advice was.
Make sure they put a zipper in that suit. I did 3 movies with no zipper in my outfit. So he gave me some very practical advice.
The Batsuits are so infamously impractical, it's even rumored that Clooney once peed himself in his. Apparently, all the Bruce Waynes of the screen can't be as fortunate as Adam West, who got a comparatively soft fabric suit. Speaking of Batsuits, apparently you can put a price on them, and it is very, very high. Ben Affleck was so impressed with his Batsuit for his debut that he wanted to take it home with him after the film had wrapped. He revealed on a visit to Live with Kelly and Michael,
I asked them, like, so what about maybe taking a suit home at the end of the thing? And they were like, for $100,000, we think that. I was like, maybe I'll just take a picture.
When Henry Cavill was officially cast as Superman in Man of Steel, the British actor decided to fully commit to filling America's most iconic hero's spandex. Cavill refused to take steroids or accept any CGI enhancements to his body, saying it would have been dishonest to trick audiences while playing Superman. So he hit the gym with the power of a Kryptonian, undergoing grueling training for nearly a year prior to filming. Cavill committed to an extremely difficult regimen that started him at 5,000 calories while he was putting on muscle mass and then cut it drastically to sculpt the muscles and reduce his body fat. After finishing up filming for his 2 shirtless scenes, he eased up and returned to a more manageable routine. He wanted his abs to be as pronounced as possible, and boy did he achieve it. Director Zack Snyder was so impressed by his star's dedication that after he'd shot his shirtless scenes, he surprised Cavill with a tub of ice cream and an apple pie. While The Dark Knight Rises was great for movies, it was less great for cameras. Nolan wanted to give his audience the fully immersive Batman movie they deserved, shooting The Dark Knight Rises in IMAX for all its glorious, gritty beauty. IMAX cameras are extremely rare, and they have the price tag to prove it. Each of them goes for about $500,000, but it's Batman, so it's worth the risk. However, Catwoman had something to say about that. Anne Hathaway's stunt double ended up crashing her motorcycle into the set's IMAX camera. Luckily, when you make Batman movies like Nolan did, 6-figure cameras are a dime a dozen, or hopefully that's how his producers felt. Suicide Squad was filled with baddies from all over the DC Rogues gallery, and one of the more unique additions was that of Killer Croc. The man-eating monster was portrayed by Adewale Akinnuoye-Agbaje, whom you may recognize from his role as Mr. Echo on Lost. Aside from having to endure 5 hours of prosthetics and body paint each day, Akinnuoye-Agbaje took on additional creeptastic research, so as to get completely in the head of the villain. According to the man himself, what that entailed was me really looking at crocodiles and alligators in their own habitats. I went down to the Everglades to see how they move, the texture of their skin. I tried to incorporate those movements in the fight techniques, and I had him walk as if he was walking through the water with a sinuous twist. Akinnuoye-Agbaje even made the effort to avoid his fellow cast members, to make them extra wary of Killer Croc. He wasn't the only member of Suicide Squad to get a little too into character, though. It's no secret that a lot of people were disappointed with the Joker in Suicide Squad. While some really enjoyed Leto's portrayal, most expected him to play a larger role due to how hyped up his inclusion in the film was. However, according to Leto, there were enough deleted scenes in Suicide Squad to make a whole Joker movie. Due to there being less than 15 minutes of screen time for the Joker, audiences were left to follow Leto's off-camera antics to get their Joker fix. Leto got so into character that he chose to torment his fellow co-stars, giving them all kinds of deranged gifts. To his on-screen lover, Margot Robbie, he sent a nice love letter along with a box containing a live rat. To Will Smith, he gifted bullets. And he even gave out condoms made to look like they'd been used. The most memorable prank, however, was likely the time when Leto, off-set, had a dead hog delivered with a video message he'd filmed in character. That's creepier than anything the Joker did in Suicide Squad. It took Hollywood forever to make a Wonder Woman movie, but maybe that was because the right actress hadn't come along until Gal Gadot. She was perfect for the role of the Amazonian hero. Of course, some of those big action set pieces needed after-the-fact reshoots. By the time the cameras re-rolled in November 2016, Gadot was about 5 months pregnant. Since the character of Wonder Woman was not pregnant, the production had to find a creative solution to hide Gadot's noticeable baby bump. Costumers cut a large swath out of the front of the Wonder Woman costume and inserted a piece of bright green cloth. It was basically a very small green screen, and it enabled digital effects artists to smooth down Gadot's belly in the editing bay. As Aquaman unfolds, Mera and the dude bro who would be Aquaman bicker like young siblings, but by the end of the film, these underwater dreamboats predictably fall in love. While shooting the epic adventure, Amber Heard and Jason Momoa engaged in a relationship as similarly strained as their characters' early interactions, all because of some very petty behavior on Momoa's part. It all starts with books. Heard reads a lot while she's on movie sets waiting around to shoot her scenes. There's not much else to do while suspended on wires, so Heard would read, toss her book to a crew member when the director yelled action, then have the worker throw it back up when they got the all clear. However, Jason Momoa didn't appreciate being ignored.
I like to read. So he quickly learned, he adopted this method of ripping out the pages of my book, so I'd pay attention to him.
Fans of movies based on Marvel Comics characters can almost always bet on a fun, conspicuous cameo from legendary and prolific Marvel boss Stan Lee.
Don't give up on her. Either of you.
We won't.
Who's that guy?
Okay.
Wait, this thing looks delicious.
One of his last on-screen appearances before his 2018 death came in the animated flick Teen Titans Go to the movies. The feature film is based on the comedic Cartoon Network series about the low-stakes adventures of Robin, Beast Boy, Cyborg, Starfire, and Raven.
Hey, I'm Stan Lee, doing my subtle cameo.
So, how did the King of Marvel show up in the DC universe? Warner Brothers Animation president Sam Register had a hunch that Teen Titans directors Peter Michael and Aaron Horvath would want Lee in their superhero movie send-up. He had a mutual friend ask Lee, and he was down. Horvath told Entertainment Weekly, "Immediately, we were like, we gotta do a really obnoxious Stan Lee cameo where he just mugs at the camera and calls attention to himself. The idea was so good, they even have him make a second cameo in the film."
Stan Lee? I'm back. I don't care if it's a DC movie. I love cameos. Not now, Stan Lee!
Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more grunge videos about your favorite stuff are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.